So I don't know if this is proven or not, but I think I own the highest mileage M5 E60 in Canada. It's been an experience, and I'm going to tell you what it's like to own this machine. So I think the world has like a love-hate relationship with this car, just because the fact that it's a four-door V10 sedan. It's super unique, super rare. It sounds like an F1 car. Has 514 horsepower stock, or 507. Yet is known to blow up, be super unreliable, basically drain your bank account, be super expensive to maintain. And having one that has 200,000 kilometers on it, I think I've gotten a good idea of what it's like to own it maintenance-wise, as well as enjoy it. So if you're new here, really quick, my name's Chris. I run this YouTube channel. It's all about building this car, as well as my streetwear brand, Enemy, which is a car culture inspired streetwear brand that I'm trying to grow. But today's video is all about this M5 E60 that has 201,000 kilometers on it currently. A little bit about the car and how I got it. I bought it 3 years ago. I was in second year university. I just gotten in a big accident with my old car. I got T-boned going through an intersection because a guy ran a stop sign. And I wanted something that was really gonna let me build an exciting, unique car. And I came across this M5 looking for it with my dad, and it had everything we were looking for. I really liked the red leather interior with that iconic Silverstone 2 M color on the outside. It had 167,000 kilometers on it, which is relatively high, especially for BMW, especially for an M5 like this. And to be honest, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea that this car was such a sought after, rare kind of style M5, or just car in general, being the four-door V10. And at the same time, I had no idea the reputation it had in terms of maintenance and the fact that it tends to blow up on people. That was definitely a wake-up call when I bought it at first. That was a cop. I've had to drive this car in the winter, which is an adventure in itself. And basically I've driven it almost every day for the past 3 years. And now this might come as a shock to some people, but maintenance-wise, the car has actually been not terrible. Biggest thing that's happened to it, and it just happened recently, is that my power steering belt went. So I had to get that replaced, which was about 2,000 Canadian dollars. It was like 1,000 for the part, 1,000 for labor. So other than that, it hasn't been too bad. The car is known to burn oil, and also being up there, it's a 2006, 14-year-old car. It's older, and with the engine it has and stuff, it's going to burn oil. So that just kind of comes with the territory. So once you're getting this car, it's something to be aware of. But in terms of overall maintenance, the best suggestion I can give is to do your research. Again, coming into buying this car, I really didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know the reputation that this car had, good and bad. So it's come as a bit of a shock to me seeing how well this M5 is held up with all the horror stories I've heard about it. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've probably heard some yourself. My experience has been, as long as you test drive the car before you buy it, it'll be okay. As long as you know what you're getting into when you purchase the car. And honestly, I think it really comes down to every individual M5. You want to make sure that the one you're getting, that the previous owner took care of it, that it's got all its maintenance work done. You want a record of what's been done to it, all that kind of stuff. I think that's important. Now for me personally, some of the mods I've done to it, very quickly, if you haven't, you can check the video up here. It's a full list of the mods I've done to the M5. Big major ones are basically exhaust, lots of body work, RPI intake scoops, and it's lowered and it has spacers on it and that kind of stuff, the typical stuff. Drives really well, so in terms of enjoyability, is it worth the headache of owning an M5 E60 with 200,000 kilometers on it? Absolutely for me. I mean, it's like, the car is so unique. You don't get that F1 drive feeling in any other kind of car. With it being the V10, it's got that crazy racing sound, especially with the custom exhaust that I have on it. Like, I've tracked the car, there's been no issues there. And just that driving feeling you get when you drive it, it's so much fun. It's such a great car. One thing that does need to be said for this M5, and if you're gonna be living in an area that has heavy snow in the winter, and if this is your only car, if this is your daily, it is awful in the winter. I'm sure that comes as no surprise. It's my only car, unfortunately, so I have to drive it in the winter. I try to drive it as little as possible, but it is definitely not a winter car, being that it's rear-wheel drive and has all that horsepower. The tires just tend to spin, which is to be expected. It's not impossible to drive, but it's just something to be aware of. Luckily this year, being away for school, I managed to get a house with a garage, so I can basically park the car for most of the winter inside, which is a huge plus. I'm gonna try and drive it as little as possible. Buying an M5, winter is definitely a concern. So if possible, you definitely wanna have a backup car to drive for that half of the year where it's freezing. Now, one of the biggest questions I get is the simple yes or no. Is it worth buying an M5 E60 today in 2020? My answer is absolutely yes. For the price, you're not going to get any other car even close to as powerful or as unique for the $20,000 to $30,000 range. To get something like this in another car, you'd have to expect to pay anywhere upwards of 50 to 80 grand. And the M5, even with all its quirks and its issues and everything, the maintenance will not come close to that price. And you still get the fun V10, naturally aspirated, one of the last ones. The whole driving experience is amazing. So I would definitely recommend, being somebody that's owned it now and it's at 200,000 kilometers, I think with this particular M5, everything that's gone wrong with it so far will have. I'm prepared to sink more money into it if I need to. It's definitely good to have a backup, especially if you're owning a car like this. You never know what could go wrong. But it hasn't bled my bank account dry, luckily. It's been a super fun car to own, and I really recommend it to anyone that's trying to kind of get something a little on the higher end for an affordable price that's super unique and will be a lot of fun to drive. This car definitely turns heads, especially with the mods that are available for it. You can really make some clean builds with the M5. Look on Instagram, there's a lot of clean builds. Follow mine if you like, I'll leave it right here. And it's just a lot of fun to drive. I definitely recommend the car. So guys, that's what it's like to own a 200,000 kilometer M5 E60. Lots of fun to drive. Be prepared for some maintenance, but if you test drive your car and do your research, you will be okay. The horror stories that you've heard about the M5 are true, but I think they're blown out of proportion. They kind of make it seem like every M5 you buy is going to explode. I'm a perfect example of this not being true. 200,000 kilometers. We're still going. We're still rolling. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you like what you saw, make sure you hit sub, like, let me know what you liked about the video, what you didn't, and let me know what you think of the M5. If you're new here, let me know what you think of the car. Lots of new stuff coming to this car. Lots of new stuff happening on the Apparel by Enemy Instagram. I'll link that right here if you want to check it out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you.